Welcome to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit, a show dedicated to helping you find enrichment for the other 23 hours of your day outside of the gym. Here's your hosts, Jason, Dave, and Corian.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 52 of Anchored at Harbor Park. I'm Coach Jason.
Coach Dave.
Coach Corian.
And today we're going to talk about the 2019 Open and give you a final thoughts recap on each week. We'll talk about our personal takeaways and then how we can use this to get better throughout the year.
This is Open 19.
2019, yes. Potentially, if they do another one. Before we move on, our icebreaker, what was your favorite Open workout this year and why?
Oh, that's an easy one, is 19.5 for me.
Because he did really good in it.
Because I finished.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, I finished Open workout in the time cap. So yeah, even though it hurt and I spent about 2 minutes dry heaving outside, it was my favorite because I finished. It's got a good memory. But as like an actual workout, what was my favorite? I think it was 19.4. I would have to say that was
a snatch and burpee.
Yeah, snatch, burpees, and yeah. I don't know, because now I'm thinking like the lunges one was pretty fun.
I did not think that was fun.
That one wasn't that bad, but I didn't finish. It was a 5.5 minute workout with a struggle bus of handstand push-ups.
Dave?
Yeah, it's between 3 and 4, but only because I could do those movements. I'd probably say, even though I thought it hurt the most, I'd say 19.4 was my favorite.
Burpees and the snatches.
Because I just like muscle ups.
I would say, I don't know, I guess it depends on how you look at it, because I didn't really the goal of the Open this year wasn't to push myself as hard as I could. Mm-hmm. It was just to do each workout. But on that first week going with you two, I really did push way harder than I thought I even should have. And then being fine was really exciting for me. So that was fun. The workout sucked, obviously, but just what it meant was really good to me. Yeah,
I will say that throwdown was the funnest. Not the workout, the throwdown, though, with you guys. I have to say, honestly, there's a moment from each workout that I just really enjoy. So, as a whole, I feel like this is my favorite Open in the last 5 years. So,
well, should we kind of roll that into our overall thoughts here?
Yeah.
Of the 2019 Open Part 1? And we're saying Part 1 or A and B because there's potentially going to be another Open in October. We don't have any details on it, but that's just what CrossFit has said. So if we learn more, we shall tell. But yeah, this year they kind of did some new things. I mean, they had strict handstand push-ups, which was the first time they did that. They introduced rest periods in a workout, which was new. Seemed like, especially week 5, the challenge of the workout, I think they were all pretty stinking hard to get through.
Did you
to the point where if you finish them, you were you're pretty good.
Did you see Dave Castro's post on 19.5?
I don't think so.
He made a picture and it's them at the ranch doing it, and it's just part of his face and then the background of everybody working out. And he's everybody asked me who I had test this workout and what I got on it. Today's the first time that I was ever doing it, and I didn't have anybody test it because I didn't need someone to test this workout and tell me how shitty it was going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was super challenging, and I mean, so if you're our general member, and you probably had to scale most of these workouts, understand that they're trying to test for the fittest on earth with these. So each workout is specifically designed to draw out a weakness. You have to be, now, since it's so competitive, you have to be the top 1% of the top percent to complete these things. And that's why there's a big post going around Instagram a while back that says earn your RX on one of the workouts. I think it was the muscle up one or whatever, because it's to the point where you have to be pretty stinking good.
Yeah.
So don't be like upset if you had to scale these. Like I scaled 2 of them, I think. Yeah. I had never scaled an open workout before. I could have RX'd the 2, but just where I'm at, it's what I had to do.
Yeah, and I think too, like we have to remember, like CrossFit is fun. We make it fun. We're here for fitness. But the sport of CrossFit is completely different. It is just that. It is the sport of CrossFit. And like you said, they're trying to find the fittest of the fit that deserve to go to the CrossFit Games. Not everybody's going to get a participation trophy and award for this. Like, it just is life. And it should be a good thing, though. It should fuel you for any of those challenges that you want to then go after. Like, am I mad that in 5 years, this is the first workout I've ever finished and that like they should make a longer time cap or they should, do smaller reps? No, I'm not mad. Like like everything that I could do last year, they made harder this year. So again, I got bumped back and that's okay because I'm not the best of the best.
I like that it gets progressive every year. So like this year, the scaled versions was still regular pull-ups as opposed to always scaling down. So it's kind of showing you like you have to work at these things because if they're a weakness last year, you better practice them because even the scaled was chin over bar pull-ups on some of these, except for the last one. I think it was jumping pull-ups where that's typically anytime it's a pull-up, it's always been jumping pull-ups as the scale. But this time it was like, I think it was week 4 for the muscle-ups. It was like, no, even the scale was chin over bar pull-ups. It's pretty tough.
And I like what you said there. You said that no matter what, you should always be progressing because you're right. Like, there's a lot of us that sit in these classes and we'll always use the same weight or we'll, do the same amount of runs or anything. We're just not pushing, we're always using the green band when we do our pull-ups and we're not going down. And it's great that you can do more pull-ups with the green band, but can you do them with less assistance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always challenge yourself.
Let's get into each week here. So week 1 was the 15-minute AMRAP of wall balls and rowing, which was designed pretty cool because like neither movement affected the other one. So the wall balls were like quad dominant and then tricep because you're throwing the ball up, and then the rowing was hamstring and glute dominant, and then you're using your biceps to pull. So like both movements played off each other, so you could really push really, really hard and not have to rest on the movements, which made it like it allowed you to go really, really deep into the pain cave on that one.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering where you're going with that because I'm like, no, that wasn't, like, I don't like how that was designed at all because it was a lot of cardio and that's my weakness.
Yeah, you didn't have to rest because like your muscles were fatigued.
Yeah. So it was just enough reps that you're like, oh, I don't really want to put this ball down. And obviously the rower, you're not going to get off the rower. But that one was a hard mental.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they were testing.
Yeah.
Is how hard could you push?
And I say that a lot, like, and we talk about it a lot, like, are you comfortable being uncomfortable? Because it was 15 minutes of being uncomfortable. I'm more like, I'd say 10. The first 5 minutes were okay.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one.
Dave's got a picture, or well, I should say, Lichter have a picture of us from that night. I'll have to show it to you. And Dave's wall ball, he must have thrown his last wall ball and was turning to go towards the rower, and the ball is falling. But the way he's like cocked his head, it looks like someone threw the ball and it bounced off his head and was flying because he was like jerked to the side, and you could just see like Nick's face like down. And I want him to like put a bubble and be like, no rep, because that's what it looks like.
Week 1, just challenging how hard you can get in that uncomfortable state and keep going when you wanted to quit. Week 2.
Wall balls is a weakness for a lot of people.
For
a lot of people to do.
Yeah, I think so many people are just used to doing smaller sets. That pushing that.
About what, 19? 19 was, it's right in that area where if you really dig deep, you can get all 19 every time. It's easy to be like, okay, let's break it up.
But they wanted you to go unbroken.
Yeah. Week 2 was the repeat. It was the toe to bar, 25 toe to bar, the double unders, and then the
Squat clean.
The squat cleans going up in weight. So they're two main like bottlenecks there. The first was just your ability to do toe to bar. That's a pretty tough movement. So that was kind of like your prerequisite. And if you don't do those, then you're like already weeded out. And then for people who are really good at that, it's how fast you can move a heavy barbell.
Yeah, and I think too, like you said, you have to earn it. Like we work on strength a lot, and I know that Ben Bergeron has said this in his podcast before. Like if you have most of your gym members can like hit a 400-pound deadlift, but they don't have a 3-minute Fran, like you're doing something wrong. We're not working on enough cardio. And I think this just showed a lot of people that gymnastics and that cardio is super important. We all can lift weight. We can all get strong. But again, did you earn it? Did you earn that right to get to that bar?
Mm-hmm. And I know like that was, I did that one scaled, and like I got through 4 of the rounds, and like it's tough if you can do it all. Like that is no joke going through it all. I know when I did it last time, I only got into the second round of cleans, so it wasn't that hard because it was only 8 minutes. But if you're going through it all, you're pretty awesome shape.
That's why I got stuck. First 8 minutes. I improved.
Yeah.
That heavy bar
was my weakness last time because I kept messing them up. I remember that. That's what I had logged in sugar wad, and wasn't double unders this time.
Right, it was the barbell.
I think I broke them up pretty good. It was actually squat cleans, and then getting back to that second round at 185 that felt like 230.
Yep.
But I think this one too is another mental one because you get a bonus for completing the workout and then get to go on. But you have to know that it's going to hurt even more. So again, are you willing to put yourself in that uncomfortable pain cave to keep going? And I know when I did this last year, not at all. Like I physically was like doing my stuff, and I was taking long breaks in between because I was like, I don't want to finish these cleans and move on.
So week 3, then we had the chipper. So 200 feet of lunging, 50 box step-ups, 50 strict handstand push-ups, and then 200 feet of handstand walk. So we got really advanced really quick there. Obviously, the distinguisher there was your ability to be upside down and how good you are with your handstand push-ups and then handstand walks. A lot of people struggled with the strict handstand push-ups. I mean, that is a very big amount to do without like rotating movements.
Yeah.
So only like the best of the best got through that.
It would be a whole different workout if it was like...
If it was like an AMRAP.
It was, you do one length of lunges and then some box step-ups, then lunges and walk. Like, totally different.
Like for that one, I was like, oh, like 200 feet of lunging, that's going to be easy. But then your quads kind of started burning towards the end of it. And then
You have to get on the box.
I have short, stubby legs, so the box step-ups were a challenge for me. But I didn't think I'd get a strict handstand push-up. I got one. That was my goal.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that.
I think my favorite thing about that week, honestly, was the amount of people that pushed themselves for that RX weight overhead, because that was a cool design of a workout because the weight was the same. It was just whether or not it was a front rack or an overhead position. And I saw a lot of people are like, well, if I'm going to do the weight anyway, let me see if I can do it overhead.
Yeah, because I was going to scale, and then I realized for the step-ups, so I could go through it quicker, and I realized the back step-ups were the exact same.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I guess I'll just RX it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought it was interesting again. They went with handstand push-ups even for the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super new too, which I liked. I mean, I know Blair doesn't like when people stack ab mats. I've never really been against it because it's kind of like the progressive thing. If you can get to a 5-inch target, then like if that's easy, now you can work towards a 4-inch target and you're work your way to even. So I thought that was cool.
I'm a big fan of doing it that way because you're in the actual position that it's mimicking, whereas I don't feel that a pike push-up, especially if you don't do it correctly, can turn into a push-up and then really working the same.
Or I didn't really like it when it was the barbell, like a push press either for the kipping. That's what they used to do. Yeah. And that's just like, yeah, I get it. It's the same motion, but it's controlling an external object versus yourself.
I'm indifferent. I feel like every scale has its purpose, and I feel like it just depends on like what the style of the workout is and all of those sort of things. So, I mean, I like that they did it for the open because, again, back to what Dave said, they're making sure that, you know, even if you are scaling things, you're still working on those weaknesses and improving. Because, I mean, some of us can cycle a bar and lightweight for large reps, so that wouldn't have been much of a challenge, I don't think. But I do think that all the scales for class purpose have a purpose, and to rotate them out, like work on a pike push-up, work on elevated pike push-ups, work on, handstand walks, along the wall, down and up, wall walks, all of that.
One thing I'm very glad they didn't do was put a tough, or I should say like funky handstand push-up standard.
Yeah.
I was never a fan of all the tape measure stuff, just because like, I get it, some people go really wide with their handstand push-ups, but some people also go really wide with their squats, and they never have any rules about that. So,
and I wonder too if that's why they went with the strict, because then they're like, well, we don't really care about them getting back over a line, because I mean, you either have strict or you don't. Going wider is not going to make a difference for most people. So, I think it just made it easier on everybody to improve.
I'm sure they intended to do strict. I think just not having to do that was just an added benefit. Mm-hmm. Week 4 was the new format where we did basically like two workouts with a 3-minute rest in between. It was 3 rounds of snatches and burpees, and then rest, and then 3 rounds of muscle ups and burpees. That was tough because that first 3 rounds was deceiving and how taxing it would be on your cardio, your endurance, and then recovering in the rest, and then seeing how many muscle ups you can get. Again, that one they were testing how well you could do muscle ups.
I think too, between week 2, week 4, and week 5, a lot of it for me, strategy wise, was like, can I set a pace and stick to it, and maintain that, or maintain sets or whatever. And I think that's a big thing. Even in this week 4, like, could you set a pace and maintain it to get through? Because if, like you said, if you went really hard on those first 3 rounds, you get a 3-minute break, but we need to recover. And if you get too high in that red line, you're not going to recover in time to go back to them.
Or just not recover well enough. Mm-hmm. And then the final week was the really nasty thrusters and chest to bar. And it was like 2.5 Frans, harder Fran because of that chest to bar instead of normal pull-ups. That one, they always throw thruster in week 5 just to mess with you. I personally didn't think we'd see chest to bar and thrusters 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So that was a big surprise to me. I thought they might do something new or just do only thrusters. But it was interesting to see. So last year was a 7-minute AMRAP of thrusters and chest to bars. And this year was the set amount of weight or set amount of reps with the time cap. And some of the elite people did all the work in the same 7 minutes, which was interesting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That just made my hand hurt.
But yeah, that week 5 was just, again, they were testing your gymnastics with the chest to bar. Obviously, you had 105 reps, so you have to be really good at those to get through it. And then kind of how much hurt are you willing to take? Yeah,
and I think, too, it's about strategy there. That's a lighter weight thruster, so most people are like, oh, go through the thrusters and give myself enough time to do my chest to bar. No, do not do that. That is a bad move. that would hurt. So you got to be a little bit I could have easily probably done half and half on the first 33 of thrusters, but again, how burnt out were my shoulders going to be? How jacked was my heart rate going to be? All of that sort of stuff.
My legs still hurt from that.
Mine don't, but I didn't finish the workout, and I scaled it halfway through.
I got up Saturday morning, and I'm never sore the next morning. I'm always a 2-day person. And I went to get out of bed, and I was like, oh, my God, this is not going to go well.
3 days sore for me. And honestly, the thrusters weren't the issue. I didn't feel like I was fine throughout the workout. I lost the pull-ups.
But you got to the round of 15, so you did 90 thrusters. That's a lot.
I didn't feel like it was my legs, like when I was doing
In the workout.
Right.
It wasn't my legs burning out, it was my arms.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, I was like, oh. Granted, I did Saturday's class workout.
Which had some lifting in it.
And stuff. And devil's press. So I did that. I thought maybe the blood flow because it was biking in there too.
Right.
And then I did. And then I rested up yesterday, but I was sore yesterday, and today I'm still sore.
So personal takeaways, what did we learn? How can we apply it to make ourselves better going forward? Either you want to start, let me start.
Do you want to talk about how can we move forward better with the gym as a whole first?
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Oh,
after.
okay. So personal takeaway for me, I think that my mindset changed for the Open. I know a couple months ago when I did the Wadapalooza online qualifier and Dave was helping me with that, like I just had a very fixed mindset on like what that meant and what that represented. And then it made it not fun for me. I got frustrated. I thought like very inadequate, like I'm not a competitor, all this stuff. And Dave's worked really hard with me to like open up my mind on that sort of stuff. So it's not that like my goals have changed, but like I just went into the Open with a different mindset. Like it was fun, like I'm gonna do my best, find out where I'm at, and I just didn't hold any expectations. And like for me, it was a blast for these 5 weeks. I found that fun again, which was really nice.
Same thing. I didn't go into this with any expectations. I don't even know where my current score is, actually. I know it hasn't all gone through yet, but I really haven't followed where I'm at ranking in the world. I don't really care. I was just doing this more for myself. It was just more of a benchmark to me to see where I was at. So, again, I was less stressed this year going into it. So each workout I just treated as a workout and just try to do the best for me. Wish I would have finished a couple personally. I felt like the last one I could have potentially. If my pull-ups didn't go, like my arms weren't gone, I probably could have because I felt like I was there. Just had no pull left. So I was a little upset with that. But then I was really upset with it actually, and then had to kind of tell myself again, like, what are your goals and what did you want to get out of this going into it? And I was like, well, my goal is not to go anywhere with this, and not like that's not my goal. So even though I'm upset that I didn't finish any of the workouts, or I maybe didn't do as well in some of the workouts as I thought, like I wanted week 3 to get out of the 8 minutes, but it is what it is. I still think I did mentally better. I wasn't so stressed, and so I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I think you did a lot better mentally, like you said, this year. And I had a lot more fun.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was. Obviously not being able to do the Open last year with my injury. This year was all about just seeing what I could do. And like I kind of talked about before, I was able to do, a lot more than I was certainly expecting of myself to do. So I was happy with that. In years past, kind of like we all did, we'd take it really serious. I mean, I don't recommend anyone do this, but I didn't warm up for any workouts really. Like it was judging, and then I was up. Okay, we'll see what I can do, which helped me keep the pressure off mentally. Like I wasn't building it up because it's like, well, you didn't even warm up. Like if you can't get a muscle up, like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I was able to. In week 3, I was excited. I haven't tried to bar muscle up in over probably 16 or 17 months, so that's cool to get a couple. Or that was week 4. Week 3, I got the strict handstand push-up, which I was happy about. I did let week 5 get in my head a little bit. Chest to bar, kind of my nemesis. So after like 20 of them, my back started locking up and probably mentally just caved. So I'm not really happy I gave in there. That was more mental than physical, I think. So that's an area that I can improve. Physically, I felt really good. Had a lot of fun. Obviously, just keep getting back into it. And
I really liked you in week 4 with the muscle ups. You were excited about them, but you felt your back pulling a little bit, and you did pull back from that. You didn't push it. You were just like, hey, I got some. It's cool. No use going out for another couple months or weeks even.
I got 7 of the 10, and I really wanted to finish that round and get into the next round. But with about 40 seconds left, it just wasn't feeling that good. So I actually took 40 seconds and just called it in, but I was happy with what I had. So
yeah,
it was still a win.
Good. I enjoyed judging you, and I enjoyed judging Dave and everybody else, and just seeing you guys kind of get after it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So let's kind of talk about how you guys as members can use your experience from the past 5 weeks to your advantage. Obviously, we all went through all these workouts. We learned a lot on each specific workout, and we can use that to our advantage to make a plan over the next 6, 12 months, whatever it is.
This is where we see a boost in goal sessions. So hit me up, guys. I do the Kenosha consults. Dave and Jason should have some open availability in there, and I do Kenosha consults. Stephanie does them on Tuesday right now. But I think using this to the biggest advantage is our perception of how things went, and then moving forward from there. Like, I had a good sit-down coffee date with a couple ladies this past weekend, and their thoughts around not only the open but just generalized working out. And I think a lot of it comes down to how we define things, and when we choose the wrong words or very stringent on our definition of what we're looking for, it can narrow how we go about things in our daily actions. So kind of reassessing that, and understanding, for me, I'm a competitive athlete. Just because I, don't finish the workouts for the open doesn't mean I'm any less of a competitor. So just changing that definition and then trying to assess goals from there.
One thing I like to do with people I meet with, and I've done this in the past with some of our coaches, is actually go workout by workout and find out what was your biggest weakness in each workout. Maybe we can find some common themes between workouts, and then really narrow down. It's kind of more of the analytical route. Narrow down on what you need to work on in the next few months. That's always fun. Making it like a game plan, a plan of action, so you kind of feel like you have a direction. Sometimes when you're just in the mundane routine of things, it's great to do it, come every day and work your butt off. But sometimes if you don't have a defined target, you can kind of get lost. So it's good to get some things ironed out down on paper that you can set your sights on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm focusing on one area at a time as opposed to a laundry list of everything. I already had one member message me about, I've got this, and this that I got to work on for next year. And I was like, all right, well, we can focus on that. I just got to do one at a time. Keep coming to class. A lot of it is, we can address that by, look where you came from last year. I know that, I think Robert Berry got his first chest to bar.
Yep.
So did Mike Preston.
5 of them, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of members surprised themselves, so that's cool. And remembering back, to like we said, so it was mental for us this year, whereas we just had more fun with it, okay? You never heard us say anything about, maybe the movements, because most of those movements we all could do as coaches. It was more of mindset this time, right? Whereas we recognized last year was mindset for us. So as a member, if you didn't get some of those movements, just remember where you were last year or where you were even a few months ago, and then celebrate those victories, and then, okay, now where can we improve on? Now we want to make sure we get more pull-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be kind of, if you list out everything you want to get better at, it can kind of be overwhelming, because there could potentially be so much. So it's really good in a situation like this, you can pick one thing from each workout, and then boom, maybe that's your top 5 things.
And sometimes these movements, the movements are compounding. So, obviously pull-ups are going to translate to pull-ups and muscle-ups. So, maybe those two can go together, because if you can get your pull-ups, eventually you're most likely.
Or maybe it's, something like weight. Like if you struggled with toes to bar,
right,
pull-ups, and, muscle ups, something like if you lose 15 pounds, that could really help all three of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I'm hearing from all of us is the biggest thing is being open-minded and looking at things reflectively. We can't just get mad that something didn't happen or that didn't go our way. Like, getting angry and frustrated is not going to make you better. Being open-minded and receptive is going to be what you're going to take with you and then be able to build upon.
I agree with that 100%. I don't think I heard anyone that was upset about their performance.
I don't think so either.
I'm sure some people were, but everyone I talked to was
But we
pretty,
also don't know who's listening to our podcast. Maybe someone not at our gym might be a little frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I'd recommend everybody does this. Well, I don't know about everyone, but in the past, I've seen this a lot. It's like, okay, the Open's done. Now I'm going to train for next year. And then the first couple of weeks right out of the Open, they're doing all the tracks. They're doing extra work now because,
they're motivated and fired up. Yeah.
Fired up. So they think like, what I need to do is 3 hours every day. And that's not, you got to understand, it's not sustainable from going from where you're at. Maybe, yes, you need to work on some particular strength or skill movements, and spending a little extra time in the gym to do those movements is fine, but just to sit there and throw volume at volume to think that you're going to get way better, you got to be careful.
Let's talk about the mental aspect of that. What happens is, you're super fired up, and I did this 2 years ago, right after the 2016 Open, as I was doing every workout I could, super fired up. And then, 2-3 weeks later, you lose a little. You might not lose all that motivation, but a little bit of it, or other priorities pop up, and now you can't do everything you were doing. And then, so now you have to miss a workout here, miss a workout there, and then mentally you're like, oh no, like I'm falling behind, and then you get overwhelmed and you scrap it all, and then you just you don't go to the gym because you're overwhelmed.
Or you could be super sore because you've done all that workout.
Well, I think if you're at that point, that's probably not too big of an issue. What you should do is ease into it. You should, if you went really hard in the Open, maybe take a week, not off, but, as almost recovery, and then add a little bit in that next week. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, try to add a little bit more, go the reverse way.
And I think that attributes a little bit to forming habits and routines. So like you said, people are going to get really excited and they're going to be like, okay, I need to get my nutrition on point. I need to add volume. I need to add strength, blah, 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 blah. So they just went from doing a workout a day, which is 60 minutes in class, to adding between meal prepping and nutrition and all of that stuff, and it being new, it's going to take them a longer time, plus extra workouts. You just added maybe 2 or 3 hours of work every day. Where is that going to fit in, and how does that look like? Whereas if instead you're like, okay, first things first, I need to recover, so I need to start eating healthier. So I'm going to add in 30 extra minutes of meal prep, grocery shopping, all that. And you build on those habits and routines, and you set that foundation. But if it's, what did I say? I made something the other day and I was just trying to talk about routines and habits. But if you build it on a poor foundation, it's going to collapse. But if you start with that foundation and you strengthen it and you strengthen those habits and routines, everything that you build on top of it's going to be really sturdy.
I like the Bergeron quote of, we're not trying to get 100% today, it's 1% every day. So if you can just make a little bit of improvement, 1% every day, over the entire course of a year, you've just improved 365%. So don't have to tackle everything in 1 week, in 1 day, and in a month. Remember, this is the long haul game.
I actually had this in my my work life, kind of in the winter time when I moved and we had kind of changed our schedules a little bit, and looking at my responsibilities, I was really overwhelmed with how I was going to do everything, and I kind of just stripped it back all the way to basics. So I wasn't doing any extra workouts, wasn't doing any extra work. I was doing what I had to, what I knew I could do every single day without getting overwhelmed. And then I slowly added my morning routine back in when I knew it would work. And now, 3 months later, I'm adding in extra workouts.
Good.
So yeah, it's kind of figuring out what you can do on a minimum basis every single day. Get used to that, then you can probably have a little more capacity for more work and more.
And I think a lot of this comes from this, we always feel very rushed. And, you know, a lot of people are already like thinking, like Dave said, about the Open next year. And they're like, oh my God, I got to get ready for that. It's a year away. One day, 1 week doesn't define that year. You know, there's a lot. So when you miss a day or haven't done a day or anything like that, it's not going to derail you, and it's not going to make your whole, define your whole career. So like we've been working in CrossFit for 5, 6, or 7 years already. And like, if I counted all my days off that I've taken or taken a step back or made things a little bit easier, like look how, like Dave said, look how much further I still am right now. But I think that we get so caught up in like we have to do everything right now because there's not enough time that, you know, that's where people fail, is because they just want everything yesterday. Yeah. And like Dave said, just slow habit changes a little bit every day. Like you said, you know, adding things back in that you know you can do is going to build that longevity and that long-term success.
Yep. And I would say like starting, you know, remember, so exercise is awesome, you know, and then 80% of your performance and your aesthetics comes from what you're eating. So, you know, you put that together, but then the most ignored aspect of it is your sleep and then your mental game. I think like I was talking to a member the other day and was talking about stress, and the person was like, I come to the gym 5-6 days a week to get my stress out. I'm on point with my nutrition, but like I can't stop, like my mind is always racing and I can't sleep well. And I'm like, okay, well, this is part of the issue. Like, what do you do? What do you train? What do you do? I said, how do you train your mind? And it was kind of like a mind-blowing moment of like, kind of like take a step back and like realize like, it's true. Like, yes, you know, taking your stress out at the gym is awesome, but like, you do have to have some type of mental training, you know, whether that's meditation or journaling, something. And like you said, Jason, your morning routine, like those all play a role. And we don't have to get all of this in one. You don't have to add 1 million extra workouts, but like adding, you know, maybe for the first 3 months, you work on nutrition. Okay, once you got that dialed in, then it's the next step. Okay, now we're going to work on our mental game, because your mental game is definitely going to play a role in how you work out, because that's the first thing that's going to tell you to quit is your mental.
Yeah. This person's not a member of our gym. They're just a follower on my Instagram. And so she started messaging me this weekend about her workouts, and she's added in more workouts. And she looks great. She's put on a lot of muscle mass over the last, I don't know what she said the timeline was, but from the picture she sent me, looked really good. But she's having some issues with like some sort of nutrient deficiency because she's got some other things going on, but she's like, I work out, I sleep, I eat well, blah, 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 all this stuff. But she is overtraining and she doesn't have these resets, like you said, the sleep and the mindset. And I'm like, before I help you with anything with your nutrition and trying to dial that in, we need to fix this other bigger elephant in the room of why you are going to the gym 2 times a day for full workouts 7 days a week and never taking a rest day. Like, you know, that's far more important.
Cool. So for you guys we highly recommend you go through week by week, you know, get some thoughts down, try to figure out what was holding you back. If you want, we recommend you come talk to us and we'll help you do that and help you make a game plan. But, you know, if you don't talk to us, you should definitely do it on your own. Use the past 5. Even if they didn't go to plan, you know, we can still learn and improve from them. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think.
Said them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody did awesome.
All right, guys.
A lot of fun watching the intramural.
Mm-hmm.
And all the posts. That was really fun. And then just watched people getting out of their comfort zone, you know, doing this. Had a lot of people came up to me this last week and was like, I'm really glad you actually pushed me to do this. They were scared or just didn't know what the Open was, and after explaining, they're like, it was actually really fun, and it opened up a lot of their minds. So
Right.
It's cool to see. So, all right.
Way to go, guys. We're proud of you.
52 in the books. Stay classy, Harper Park.
See you later.